Hi everyone, QUINSEAJ back here, and I'm back with another video installment of my Reselling 101, and this is episode 3. So if you haven't watched the other two, you can skip ahead or you can go back, but today I'm going to be talking about taking photos. You have your practice inventory basically, and now we are going to talk a little bit about how you sell, how you get on the platform and really use it. I am going to be focusing on Poshmark because for me this is how I started, and I think it's really the most user friendly, especially when you're just working on the phone. You can of course do it on your computer as well, but you can really easily do everything on the phone. If you think you are ready to level up, you can also use Vindu if you are wanting to cross-list on multiple platforms. I have said multiple times I use Vindu to cross-list on Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, and Depop, but there's also Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Etsy, Shopify. Like, there's several platforms that you can use on Vindu. And if you're interested in using them, I have a code for 25% off in the description box below. Thank you so much for everyone who's been using my Vindu and Posher VA referral codes. That's been amazing, and I really appreciate your support in that regard. All right, now you have your inventory. Let's start posting. All right, we have talked about going through your own closet. So you should have about 5 pieces of inventory. We discussed that are just pieces that you no longer utilize. I would also suggest having 2 hangers, one for things like shirts, just your basic hanger, and then a pants hanger. And I think I don't know, I got this for like 10 cents. I might have actually found this in the bins and thought it was really cute. So you can also do flat lays, but for me personally, I hate, getting up and down. So for me, these hangers are the best. And you want to have a neutral background. There's a lot of people who like to do flat lays and put, like greenery around them, or they also do things like setting it up with a whole outfit. But I hope that my clothes can sell year round, so because of that, I just do one neutral white background, and I have my little jewel hook up there to give it some class. People in the photos can't actually see it, that's just for me. All right, with my room here, there's only a couple hours during the day that I can actually use my natural lighting. It's pretty dull here right now, so in the future, when you are ready to invest something back into your company, I would suggest one of these lights. You can store these lights really easily. They fold down to nothing, and I actually got 2 in a carrying case. The other one stays in my closet, but I can collapse it down really easily, and I love having it readily available but not taking up a lot of space when I don't need it. Now, when you are reselling, it's important to give the customer the best experience they can get. What are some things that you think are important about this item, right? So obviously you're going to want to get the best color matching for the photo for what it displays in real life. So I try and take it from a couple different angles with different lighting, especially for black pieces. It's hard to photo anyway, so I try and get different angles to show the actual textures and color. It's obviously super important to list any flaws, and not just list them, but actually photograph them. So I would get, I usually point to it with my finger to show relatively how big the flaw is. If it's majorly flawed though, is it worth selling? That is always something you need to remember too, because again, we are not selling trash. We are selling items that still have a lot of love and life to give. A lot of customers also want to know what the fabric content is, so I just take a picture of it. And when I'm photographing, I'm also taking my measurements and adding it to the draft as I go, so that later on everything I need is already in there and I can create my drafts wherever I am. I don't need to be sitting at my computer to do it. If I'm in line, I can, update my drafts and make them go live. I have all the information I need right there. And it's also important that your inventory is clean, and I always like to do some steaming. If there are items that just look a little bit dingy, I like to just throw them in the washer really quick. I know what it's like not having a washer and dryer though, and when I first started reselling, that was not really an option, and so I just noted the flaws and was just a lot more picky at the bins, or at least tried to be. So I also wanted to be able to show you all what it looks like in Vindu as well, because this is actually my preferred method of photographing, because it takes it actually from the camera, and I think that I'm able to adjust the lighting a lot better and the photos just come out a lot brighter. But I also wanted to show you this feature because you can actually do the background remover with this app, that I think makes your photos just stand out a lot better, especially if you're not able to find a stock photo. I really like having the first photo be something with the background removed, because I just feel like it looks cleaner. So because of those reasons, I enjoy using the Vindu app more, and then I can just go straight to the computer and, like I was mentioning in Poshmark, add all of the details and then cross list to my different platforms all at once. Now, when it comes to actually posting the item, I like to do my research. So I am researching my items before I bring them into my home, but that is just a preliminary search to make sure it's worth it for me. When I'm sitting down to create the listings, this is really your in-depth search of stock photos, which I will say stock photos are great for Poshmark, but you cannot use stock photos on Depop. A lot of items on eBay will get your account dinged as well. I like to provide them because I think it's important to show what the items look like on a human instead of just a flat lay. But just know that eBay and Depop, that isn't really an option, especially with Gymshark. I think I noted it in my last video, but Gymshark is on their stuff because both of my items were marked pretty quickly that I was using stock photos. So I've done it, but just know that there's some brands out there that really invest their time in researching who is taking their photos. This is also a time where I want to mention Google Lens. There's some items like Free People where you can just use Google Lens and it will actually show you what the item is. For things like jeans, you're not really going to have much luck with just like these Abercrombie jeans, but if it has a unique print or anything, Google Lens can be really helpful. I also will Google the photo, so as you see here, I'm typing in as much as I can to see what Google comes up with, Google Photos, to see if there are stock photos of this specific pair of jeans, right? I'm talking the same color, the same wash, everything, because what I really find frustrating is that I see a photo on Poshmark, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the exact, thing I'm looking for, but then it's a totally different color, or it's not the same distressing, not even the same year, right? So make sure the photo that you're using, you're not like catfishing your customers. But this is also a way to see what else is out there, how popular the item is, and then I go into Poshmark and see about similar comps. So I'm looking at, is there anything else like this? Is there this exact replica or the exact item? And are there any in this same size? Because if I have the only 31s and everything else is a very small item, then I'm going to be able to list mine for higher. I also look at sold comps because oftentimes, I can find 100 listings and they're all $60, $70, but then when you go to sold comps, it's actually selling for like 10 or 15. That's a bummer, but you need to actually look at sold comps to see what's realistic. Once I do my research, then it's time to add everything to the description. So I have the same template, I guess, in my head that I use every time. I do the brand, the style name, if it has one, or, describe it. I do the color, and then I do the size. And I copy and paste that into the actual description. And one thing that I have heard is not to put any symbols in your title. I've heard that it doesn't always show up, so I don't like to use parentheses or the and sign, like even when I'm doing Abercrombie and Fitch. I'll put it in the description box, but not the title. I don't know if that's true, but I've stuck to that. I will, then make those all on different lines, so it's very easy to read the description, and then I'll put on any other information that I think is relevant. If they have any flaws, you are noting the flaws as well as taking pictures, and I always put the approximate measurements. And for jeans, I do the waist, the rise, and the inseam, and for shirts and dresses, I do P to P, pit to pit, and then the shoulder to the hem. Alright, so double checking that the pictures look great. You already have a wonderful description that we have already researched and added in keywords. We have that these are women's jeans, and I'm going to label them as high rise. You can put if there's more than one, but we just have a single item, size 31. Not new with tags, and these are Abercrombie and Fitch. You got some style names you can put, and then you don't have to put the original price. You can just do the listing price. There is a suggested price, but we already did our own research, and so we know that our price is fair. And then it's important to add the cost price for later down the road to see how much we're actually making. Congratulations! You just made your first post, and hopefully soon you'll make your first sale. I hope that you have gotten something out of this. I want to know if I left anything out. What are some tips and tricks that you use? This is just a very basic overview to get you going. If you have ever thought about reselling, it can't be easier. If you're just practicing and stuff, maybe you don't need to go into all of these details with the research and stuff, but you might as well start good practices, and I think these are some pretty basic things that will help you get your sales. So let me know what else you want to see in this series. Consider subscribing, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!